It's the Britt Rochelle Show. Do 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 do. That's me.
Hello, Peaches! Neko Britt back at it with another tea time treat for your Neko Cafe needs. Today we're going to be making strawberry scones. For this recipe, you're going to need 2 cups of flour, a half teaspoon of salt, 2 tablespoons of baking powder, 1 teaspoon of vanilla, 1/2 cup of white or brown sugar, 1/2 to 1 cup of strawberries, chopped, 1/3 cup of butter, an egg, and 1/2 cup of milk. I'll be using almond milk this time, but you can use whatever milk you'd like. We'll also be making a yummy strawberry glaze out of milk, strawberries, and powdered sugar. I'm already aproned up. Let's get started! Our first step to making yummy, delicious scones is going to be to mix our dry ingredients. So we're going to need our 2 cups of flour, 2 tablespoons of baking powder, 1/2 cup of sugar, and 1 teaspoon of salt. Take your cute little whisk and just go at it very gently, very sweetly until it's combined. Perfect. Let's set this aside and get to chopping our strawberries. To chop your strawberries, just slice the little top off here, and I like to cut it down the center, and cut it down the center again, and then cut it long ways like this, just to get those little strawberry chunks. But you don't want them too little. You just want them, you can cut it in half again if you want. You just want them about the size of your thumbnail. With our yummy chopped strawberries, we're gonna mix them into the dry ingredients to make sure that they're all evenly coated. I've been making this recipe for a little while now, and I found that whether you're using chocolate chips or strawberries or blueberries, what have you, mix-ins really mix in a lot more evenly if you do that with the dry ingredients than when you've got your wet dough. Okay, now we'll just gently fold them in. Just evenly coating all the strawberries in our flour mixture. You're going to do something a little fun and pretty different with your butter. Whether you're using the stick butter or the tub butter like I am, you're going to take 1/3 of a cup. I'm going to get mine all nice and leveled off. And I'm going to take mine, since I'm using tub butter, into sections. If you're using your stick butter, just cut it into little flat squares and spread it all over the top of your dry ingredients. Now that you've got your butter on top of your dry ingredients, you're going to take either 2 butter knives or a butter cutter and cut in the butter until the mixture is crumbly. If you're using butter knives, you're just going to take them crossways like this, go into the butter, and just cut it into the flour. Just gonna keep scooping and mixing it and cutting it until you got a nice crumbly mixture. Don't forget to scrape those sides. Try to get as much flour incorporated as possible. All right. Don't have to scrape any excess off. Get all the nice little crumbles in there. Our wet ingredients we're going to mix all together in this lovely little measuring cup here. Take your milk and just fill it up to the halfway line. Get 1 teaspoon of vanilla in there. And crack an egg into the cup. Now before you mix it into your little butter flour mixture over there, you're going to take a little fork, crack open your yolk, and beat the egg in with the milk and vanilla. Once it's real foamy on the top like that, it's pretty well beaten. I'm fixin' to do some mixin'. Pour your wet ingredients all over your dry ingredients. And without over mixing, fold into a nice sticky batter. Again, make sure you scrape the sides and the bottom of the bowl and incorporate that flour as best as possible. Okay. If you like your scones a little drier and a little less sticky, just use less milk. But don't use any less than 1/3 of a cup. Then it just won't mix. There we go. Nice sticky bows. Make sure you've washed your hands because we're going to be getting them a little dirty. Now that you've got a nice sticky bowl of dough, we're just going to form them into as much of a ball as you can and just slap them right here on your baking sheet. It's okay if they're not the prettiest. They are going to taste beautiful, and I'm sure they look great. Now that my paws are squeaky clean again, let's get these scones in the oven. You'll leave them in there for about 8 to 10 minutes until they're crispy golden brown on top. To top off our delicious tea time treat, we're going to make a strawberry glaze for our strawberry scones. Take about 4 or 5 strawberries, depending on how strawberry-licious you want your scones, and chop them up just like you did for the batter. Though this doesn't have to be as exact because we're just going to blend them up in a minute. Now you don't have to use a blender like that one. You can use a hand blender, an emulsion blender, really just anything like a food processor, anything that'll get it into a nice little pulp. Dump your berries into the blender. Cover with around 1/2 cup of milk. Again, I'm using almond milk, but you can use oat milk, regular cow milk. Not kitty milk, though. Just until it's covered like so. And blend. Okay. You want to blend for around 30 seconds to a minute, however long you need to make sure there are no strawberry chunks, or as few as possible. You should have a really thin smoothie consistency right now, but we're going to thicken that up with up to 2 cups of powdered sugar. I'm going to be adding in my powdered sugar 1/4 cup at a time, not just to save mess, but to make sure I get the consistency that I want. You want it to be a little thick and drizzly, but not super thick like a frosting. Somewhere in between. See, this is still way too thin, and there's still lumps. This is another process you can use with an immersion blender if you would like, or a food processor. Ooh, she's really starting to thicken up. Ooh, perfect. Just want a nice drizzle. What's that? Sounds like the scones are done. Let's go pull them out. They smell so good. Look at that gorgeous golden brown. Let's get this on a plate and try it out. Unless you like your scones super sweet, just drizzle a little bit on there. 1 or 2 spoons should do, because it'll get soaked in by the pastry. Or again, you can eat it plain, but I think the glaze just gives it that little extra sweetness. Oh yeah, that is just what that needed. Scones by nature tend to be a little dry, so get that glaze on them, maybe have them with a cup of your favorite tea, and you'll be having a delicious tea time treat or breakfast anytime. Thank you so much for coming to my kitty cafe. I really hope you'll come by again soon and try out more of my delicious snacks and recipes. If you try this at home, slide into my DMs and let me know what you think. I'm Britt Rochelle, or Kitty Britt, and I'll see you next time. won't hurt.